Welcome to our YouTube channel again. Today our topic of discussion is proteins and amino acid. In the last topic we discussed the carbohydrates, and now the next topic is proteins. Okay, so first of all, here I wrote some key points that we have to discuss in this video. The first one, like the proteins, origin of proteins, function of proteins, elemental composition of proteins. Proteins are the polymers of amino acids, and then amino acids and structure, general structure of amino acids. Okay, and then we will discuss optical amino acids. So that is over in the first video, and in the next part, like the part 2, that will be based on classification of amino acids. Okay, let's start our topic of discussion. So now, first of all, here the proteins. As you know that the proteins are the most abundant organic molecules, most abundant organic molecule of living organisms or living system. Okay, so first one you have to remember, like they occur approximately like in every part of the cell and constitute about the 50% of the cellular dry weight, like the mass. Okay, so proteins form a fundamental basis of structure and functions of life. So it means it will form basic functions of life and structure of lives. Okay, now what is like meant by the protein, or what is the origin of the word protein? Remember that the word protein is derived from the Greek word that is proteus. Okay, and the meaning, it means holding the first place, holding the first place. Okay, like the Berzelius, the Swedish chemist, suggested the name protein to the group of the organic compounds that are utmost important for life. Okay, and then another one scientist, that is Mulder, that is a Dutch chemist, in 1838 that he used the term protein. Okay, for why? Because for the higher molecular weight, because of higher molecular weight. Okay, and now we are going to discuss the next one, that is the functions of proteins. Like we will discuss in detail about the functions of protein in the later parts, but here I told you just about the general functions. Like for example, we can classify the functions into two groups. The first one is structural functions, and the second one, that will be dynamic functions. Okay, structural functions and dynamic functions. So first of all, like what are the structural functions of protein? Remember that the certain proteins perform brick and mortar role and primarily responsible for the structure and the strength of the body. Like in case of, for example, here I am going to show you the collagen and elastin. These are the two types of proteins that are found in the bones. Okay, that are found in the bone, along with like the bone matrix, and also like that are present in the vascular system and other organs. Okay, and like that will help as a supporting element, or you can say that will help like for the formation of the structure and give strength to the body. And the second one as like the alpha keratin. Here I am going to write it again. Alpha keratin protein that is present in the epidermal tissues. Okay, so these are the like structural function of the protein. Now the next one is the dynamic function of the protein. The dynamic function of the protein is very diverse in nature, because like these include like the function, as you know that like the enzymes are the biological catalysts that help in the like speed up the chemical reactions. So all the enzymes are made up of proteins. So you can say like in case of dynamic function, so proteins are help for the formation of the enzymes. The second one, the hormones. The third one, that is blood clotting factors. Okay, and also like the next one, that are immunoglobulins. Okay, like immunoglobulins, membrane receptors, along with the other one, like there are a lot of the other functions like storage proteins beside their functions in the genetic roles. Okay, like the muscles like contraction, like one is very important, respiration. Okay, in the respiration process, like proteins perform a dynamic functions, are appropriately regarded as like you can say the working house of the cell. Okay, so in general you have to remember that proteins are classified into two parts, or the two groups. The one is structural function and the other one is dynamic function. In case of structural function, like you have to remember that according to the structural base, like for example to give strength, to give shape, so the role of protein like collagen, elastin, alpha keratin. And in case of the dynamic function, you have to remember like the different works or the different processes that take place in the living organisms. Okay, and what are those elements that help in those processes in the living organisms. So there the proteins are very like take part a very important role. Okay, next one is the elemental composition of protein. Remember that the protein contain 5 major elements. The protein contain 5 major elements. One is carbon, second one is hydrogen, third one is oxygen, fourth one is nitrogen, and fifth one is sulfur. Okay, approximately 50 to 55% that is carbon. Okay, and hydrogen is 6 to 7%, along with the oxygen that is approximately 19% to 23 or 24%, and the nitrogen, oxygen is 19% and nitrogen is approximately 13 to 19%, and the sulfur is normally present 0 to 4%. Like when we discuss the amino acids, the type of amino acids, so we will see like the different amino acids. Some of the amino acids contain sulfur group and some of the amino acids do not having any sulfur group. Okay, so you have to write like 0 to 4%. These are the sulfur that are present in the composition of proteins. Okay, now the next one, along with the other, like for example, like proteins may also contain some other elements like phosphorus, iron, copper, like iodine, magnesium, manganese and zinc. Okay, so the content of the nitrogen are essential component of the protein, remember it. Next one is the proteins are the polymer of amino acids. So first of all, what is meant by polymer? Poly means many and the mer mean units. Remember, the word polymer is actually like when the monomers, monomer mean like mono mean one and mer mean units. For example, let's suppose I am going to like here draw some lines. So you can see here are the 5 lines. So these are the monomeric form of the like any compound. Okay, so when these lines are linked together, for example, you can see here, and now you can see like when the monomeric like the form of the compounds are the monomers linked together to form a long chain, that will make a polymer. Okay, so as in this case the amino acids are actually you can say amino acids are as a monomers. So when the amino acids link together to form a long chain or long long chain, that will make protein structure. So remember, as many that like proteins one completed or proteins on complete the hydrolysis, for example with concentrated HCl for several hours, that will yield, that will give us alpha amino acids. Like this is common property of all the proteins, therefore the proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids, but in this case the proteins are the amino acids of L alpha amino acids. Okay, like we will discuss what is meant by L and what is meant by D, that is based on the configurations. Okay, now the question is what is meant by amino acids or what are the amino acids. So remember, amino acids are the group of organic compounds that having the 2 functional groups. One is amino functional group and the other one is carboxyl function groups. Okay, as you know, amino means like that would be NH2 and carboxyl means that is like carboxylic acid function group, that is COOH. Okay, so these are the amino acid. Remember, amine group is basic in nature, so here that is basic, while the carboxyl group is acidic in nature. Okay, like here I am going to show you the general structure of amino acid. Here is carbon, that is the alpha carbon, that is bonded with the, on one side there will be amine group and the other side there will be carboxylic acid group, and here there is other functional group, that is like you can say here R group, and here that contain hydrogen. Okay, so that is the general structure of amino acid. Let me show you in different color these groups. Okay, now Next one is the, like as we discussed the general structure here, but like the amino acid is exist as ions. For example here, that will make a Zwitter ions. In this case you can see here, like now you can see here, one contain negative charge, the carboxylic acid group, like here or carboxyl group, and while the amide group or amine group that contain like the positive charge, because one more hydrogen that is going to be added for by the shifting of the hydrogen from one group to another one by the process of tautomerization. So that is actually making an ion. So that is known as like the general group of the amino acid that exist as ionic form. Okay, where the R group, R which is different for each of the actually like the total number of the amino acids are 20. So R group is like actually define the type of the amino acid. Okay, like in the 20 amino acids. So the amino acids mostly exist in the ionized form in the biological system. Okay, now the next one, that is the optical isomers of amino acids. As we discussed in the previous classes or the previous lectures, like the optical isomers of the carbohydrate, and we discussed the two different types of the isomers, that is D and L. Okay, so same happening here, as like you can see here, the alpha carbon is attached with the 4 different groups. Okay, so that's why it is asymmetric. Okay, and therefore that will show optical isomers, optical isomerism. Okay, now the amino acids accept the glycine, because the glycine having the R group is actually the hydrogen. So that's why glycine like that is not asymmetric. But other than glycine, where the R group is different, held by alpha carbon, thus all the amino acids have optical isomers. Okay, so glycine is one of the amino acids that here you can see on both sides there is a same group, so that's why that is not optically active. Okay, so the structure is based on L and D isomers. Okay, or L and D configuration, as we discussed like in the previous videos, like L-glyceraldehyde and D-glyceraldehyde, same happening here. Like for example here I am going to show you the general structure, like for example D amino acid. So D amino acid would be NH2 would be on the right side, where carbon, and here is the hydrogen, and here is carboxyl group, and here is R group. Okay, so that would be D amino acid, while the L amino acid, in this case, where the NH2 group will be on the right side, and here is the carbon, hydrogen, R and COOH. So that is L amino acid. Okay, so that's all about the today lecture. So I hope you would understand our video. In the next video we will discuss the like classifications of amino acids in detail. Okay, so if you like our video, then kindly subscribe us and share our channel. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.